being a mother with type 1 diabetes. You're doing an extra mile effort for it. You had hypoglycemia when you breastfeed your children. You have chronic fatigue, sleepless nights, but you're still showing up for your kids. I mean, you're doing your best journey yet as a mother. Even though I now live with multiple chronic conditions, including complications, I would probably say that my kids are my greatest motivation to live longer and healthy because I want to see my kids grow up.
Anita, welcome to the Via Diabetes interview series. It's great to have you.
It's great to have you too, Olivia.
I'd like to know what your diagnosis story is and how you currently manage your diabetes on a day-to-day basis.
So I was diagnosed when I was 13 years old in Indonesia. At that time, it's 1997. It's a very limited information about type 1 diabetes, and people assume that diabetes happen on older people. So I'm not going to say it's a perfect combo. It's not a perfect combo at all because you're in Indonesia, limited information access and a lot of assumptions about type 1 diabetes. The doctor wanted me to use insulin. I received rejection coming from my family because they thought that it's impossible for me as a young girl to have diabetes. So it took a lot of process for me even to access my own medication. We go to the basics: insulin pens and needles and strips. We do have pumps, but I need to travel to our neighboring country to access them because it's not available in the country.
So if I'm understanding correctly, this is not covered by the public health system. Could you please give us a kind of summary of your career to date?
Well, I have a background of economic and finance. I used to work in the corporate world. I work in the procurement industry, especially on oil and gas, but I had to resign because I developed pregnancy complications after my second baby. But then I can focus on my advocacy work. Currently, I work for several diabetes organizations in the country.
What was it like stepping back from your job after the pregnancy complications into full-time advocacy work?
It takes a lot of process, but I think it's also a blessing in disguise because when I resigned from my work, I developed epilepsy in my first year of resignation because I used to do a lot of things, but when I'm doing nothing, it creates brain snaps. So I had epilepsy episodes a couple of times in that year. So I need to keep myself busy. That's also the reason why I'm using a lot of hats because I can do a lot of things in different structures and frameworks.
Are there any highlights of your time that you'd like to speak about?
I love my work as a woman in diabetes program manager. I know how limited information about women in diabetes in the environment. For example, diabetes in pregnancy. So the reason why I'm really passionate and driven, I'm on fire because I experienced 4 times pregnancy, 2 times miscarriages, 2 times premature birth. I developed preeclampsia. I had early contractions. I experienced insulin resistance in the late trimester. I nearly had a stroke. And now I ended up with cardiomyopathy and chronic kidney disease. And I know I'm not the only one, but no one talks about it. So we need to have our voice heard. We need to have this discussion. Why? Because I know I'm not the only one.
I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit what it's like to live with diabetes and also be a mother.
It's a blessing. It's also very demanding. As a girl, as with type 1, people keep on saying that I cannot have kids. No one will marry you. You will be a burden. But here you are. You're a mother of 2 boys. And you're living your life fully as a mother. You're embracing all the journey of this motherhood. It's not easy, but it's really a blessing because there's some things that people take for granted. Being a mother with type 1 diabetes, you're doing an extra mile effort for it. You had hypoglycemia when you breastfeed your children. You have chronic fatigue, sleepless nights, but you're still showing up for your kids. I mean, you're doing your best journey yet as a mother. Even though I now live with multiple chronic conditions, including complications, I would probably say that my kids are my greatest motivation to live longer and healthy because I want to see my kids grow up.
I know you've spoken also publicly about menopause and diabetes. Is that something that you also tell us a little bit about?
We have a lot of work in terms of women's topic. There's so many gaps: menstruation, puberty, pregnancy, sexual dysfunction, perimenopause, menopause. No one talks about it. No one. As a type 1 diabetes, we had the risk of having earlier menopause. Perimenopause happened like 5 to 10 years earlier, and the symptoms are different to one another. It's really difficult to navigate yourself with that condition, especially when you live in a country with limited number of female endocrinologists. Where can you share your symptoms when you don't have any information about it?
How about the crossover between neurodivergence and diabetes?
I had a late diagnosis of ADHD because after I find out that my son also has ADHD, his psychologist said it's inherited. And then I had assessment. Oh, I probably have ADHD. People doesn't really understand about neurodivergence. I rather focus on the bright side. But when you relate neurodivergence to autoimmune conditions such as type 1 rheumatoid arthritis or celiac, it will be in another level because sensory overload sends signals as a stress in your body. And when it happens, insulin resistance happen and an autoimmune flare happen. And then suddenly all your blood sugar fluctuates crazy, and then you start to feel feverish, and then you had aching joints, and they are invisible. No one sees it, but you feel it. You know you're not okay, and it's difficult when you're trying to explain things that is not being seen. I'm lucky that my father built structure on my diabetes management without realizing that I have ADHD. So when you have ADHD, you easily forgot things. But when I was diagnosed with diabetes, my father put a piece of paper in the wall. So I wrote down my blood sugar before I had my meal, including my insulin injection in a daily basis. So I'm used to that. So it's just like in my head that every time I had my meal, I need to write down my blood sugar and inject my insulin. And it's become a pattern in my life.
What's the top thing that you would like to see more of from either governments or businesses in Indonesia to help with your diabetes management?
Better access of diabetes care. I know they were focusing on the basics, and I'm grateful for it because we have free local manufactured insulin to have insulin more affordable using national insurance. But there's still space for improvement, especially on technology. What I recommend to the government is instead of limiting it, why not putting it as an optional? So we still can access the diabetes technology because it's optional, not because it's not available. And second, it's about earlier diagnosis. Now we have free medical checkup from elementary school and above. The good side is that we could eliminate the DKA episodes.
What are some common misconceptions or stigmas that you have faced with diabetes?
It comes in layered and comes in also in phases. When I was a girl with type 1 diabetes, people saying that I cannot do that, and I cannot eat this, I cannot eat that. And then when I reach the relationship age, people think that I can't get married because of my condition. I will be a burden to my husband. And when I do get married, people keep saying that I cannot have kids, I cannot be a good mother because I cannot breastfeed. Even like since our pregnancy will be considered high risk, there's a possibility that we can only give birth through C-section. In some culture, when a woman gave birth through C-section, the society is saying that you're not being a real mother because you're not going into your natural birth. And when I had hypoglycemia during my breastfeeding, that's why I only breastfeed my kids only for 3 months. People saying that I'm not being a good mother because I don't breastfeed my kids. And then when you go to the park and then suddenly you had a hypo and you need to stop and treat your hypo, people think that you abandon your kids in the park. So it's like layered of stigma. And at some point I realized that you need to start from yourself. You need to empower yourself that you are a good mother. You are a good type 1 mother. You're a good person. You are trying your best. So don't let that stigma lower you.
What is one piece of advice that you would give to a newly diagnosed person living with diabetes?
Be kind to yourself. Diabetes is difficult and no one size fits all. You have the fluctuations. You will have the good days. You will have the bad days. Never chase for the perfection because, we all know that we're just trying our best to live our life. So please be kind to yourself.
Thank you so much, Anita. It's been an absolute pleasure to interview you. You are honestly such an inspiring person. You're such a powerhouse. So thank you for everything.
Thank you so much, Olivia.